Marvel's Avengers features plenty of familiar faces from the comics and fun nods to the wider Marvel universe. However, there are more than a few aspects of the title that may slip past even the biggest fans of Earth's mightiest heroes. Much like the other Avengers, Thor retreats from the public eye after A-Day. However, unlike Iron Man and the Hulk, Thor Odinson seemingly didn't devote his time to moping over his failures. Instead, it appears Thor took a human alias to continue helping normal human beings. When he appears again after A-Day, Thor is wearing a shirt that indicates he has been volunteering at a nearby hospital. He even has a sticker on the shirt identifying him as D. Blake. Fans of the comics may recognize this as a reference to Donald Blake, the name of Thor's original human host. While hunting for the backup drive that contains Jarvis, Kamala Khan finds an old photo of the Avengers in their civilian identities. While the majority of the group is recognizable as the lineup featured in the video game, there's one extra member in the photo. Situated on the ground in front of the rest of the team is a man wearing a baseball cap and a t-shirt with a bullseye on it. Fans may recognize this mysterious man as Clint Barton, aka Hawkeye, the team's archer. Hawkeye stars in his own DLC missions for Marvel's Avengers, as does his protege, Kate Bishop. It's worth noting that neither of the Hawkeyes are directly mentioned in the events of the campaign. Instead, it appears as though the only reference to Hawkeye is this blink and you'll miss it tease. When Black Widow finally rejoins the rest of the team on the Chimera, there are a few objects in her private room that players can interact with. One of these is a small red music box with a ballerina figurine inside. Not only does this music box clear up how Widow ended up choosing the codename Tiny Dancer, but it also acts as a reference to her dark backstory. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe and some versions of her comic book origins, Natasha was trained from a young age to be an assassin. The place where she received this training was called the Red Room. During her time there, Natasha was implanted with false memories of being a ballet dancer at a prestigious school. Since joining the Avengers as Black Widow, she has struggled to leave that part of her life behind. It seems the game's version of Natasha may have finally come to terms with her violent past. While AIM is the predominant threat to the world in Marvel's Avengers, it appears another corrupt organization from the comics may be lurking in the shadows. During Kamala's first big brawl with AIM's robots, eagle-eyed players can spot posters and a banner in the background for Roxxon. Comic book fans may recognize this as an advertisement for the Roxxon Energy Corporation, a company that has run afoul of just about every hero in the Marvel Universe. The Marvel Cinematic Universe has also heavily referenced or featured Roxxon. In fact, a Roxxon oil tanker served as the stage for the final battle sequence in Iron Man 3. Prior to the A-Day opening ceremony, Kamala runs into some bullies who question her love for the Avengers. They insinuate she's not a real fan and tell her to get out of here. To that, Kamala responds, "When the mob and the press and the whole world tell you to move, you plant yourself like a tree beside the river of truth and you say, no, you move." These words were originally spoken by Captain America in Amazing Spider-Man number 537. These were Captain Rogers' words of wisdom for Spider-Man when he was at his lowest point. The Marvel Cinematic Universe spun this speech in a new direction, giving it a more sentimental value. In the movie Captain America: Civil War, a version of this quote was attributed to the late Peggy Carter.
Even if the whole world is telling you to move, it is your duty to plant yourself like a tree, look them in the eye and say no.
When Kamala and the Hulk break into AIM's Inhuman Testing Facility, you can spot a sign behind Kamala that reads, "Subject to Naja." While this label might seem random, it actually points to the existence of another character from the comics. Naja was the name of an Inhuman who gained her powers from an event similar to A-Day. After the release of the Terrigen Mists, Naja developed several new abilities, including invisibility and flight. She also found that her body changed shape, taking on a more reptilian appearance. In the comics, Naja teamed up with several other Inhumans, including Dante. A version of Dante notably appears in Marvel's Avengers, where he is depicted as a member of the Inhuman Resistance. If Naja exists in this universe, then perhaps the two of them will join forces in a future story. The opening mission of Marvel's Avengers sees the team facing off against Taskmaster and his gang of mercenaries. At one point, the Incredible Hulk catches a bus before it can go tumbling into the water below. The bus is only on the screen for a few moments, but if you look closely, you can spot a license plate bearing a rather historic number. The license plate on the vehicle reads AV10963, which could reference the fact that the very first issue of the Avengers was released in 1963. However, it could also allude to issue 10 of the Avengers, which came out that same year. The cover of that issue dramatically declared the Avengers would break up in that month's story. In the Marvel's Avengers mission, that is exactly what came to pass, which makes this the more likely reference. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about your favorite games are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.